Hey followers, this is your boy, movie maker Doug55. I'm with my coach and mentor, Andy McPhee, and we have a very special guest with us tonight. His name is Troy Coward, and he has an incredible story to share with the world, and we're going to let him do that tonight. Welcome, Troy.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks, Troy, and thanks for the intro again, Doug. Again, you're right. We have another really incredible guest on. And look, just quickly, as we do with most, just share with how we met. We met through, I think we just met through television industry, film, acting, Sam Greco and Ray Fazio on The Condemned. So it was quite a few years ago. And over that period of time, we've developed a really good friendship. And I, amongst a lot of other people, are now ambassadors to your mental health, suicide prevention and awareness nonprofit, which is called Beacon Fight for Life. And I'm sure there's a big story behind that, mate, why you started that. So we'll just hand it over to you and, let you share this story.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Look, it's been quite the journey, hasn't it? But I'm very blessed to be here and chatting with you guys today. Yeah, geez, I don't know, where do I start? I guess the big fundamental reasoning by starting the Beacon Fight for Life, one, I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now and having such amazing ambassadors like yourself and amazing mentors and just some beautiful people in my life at the moment, which has been a real blessing. But a big reason why we started the Beacon Fight for Life is as a young tacker, I'd actually lost my dad to suicide, which is something that I'd really bottled up. And only a matter of probably 4 years ago, I started sharing on a camp with the kids. We took about 30 odd kids away for a week and taught them about mental health and suicide prevention. It was called Zero to Hero. And I really got inspired being on the camp and seeing the transition from these young kids that come in like sheep and leave like lions, just ready to tackle the world. And that really inspired me. And then throughout the process, I guess, I guess as a young bloke, it's nowhere near where I am. I sort of grew up father who I'm sure he loved us in his own right, but it was tackling his own demons and alcoholic and diagnosed schizophrenic and all sorts of stuff. And so it made interesting nights when he'd get drunk and carry on. But from a young tacker, I was in foster care and safe houses and all sorts and out of home at 14. And suicide, I'd really first, I become aware, I guess, of even that was something that people do when I was about, I think, 14 in a foster care for a young girl there. She was 16 and she tried taking her own life. And the foster parents tried pushing me through the top window of a bathroom to get in there, and because I was the smallest, to try and unlock the door so they could go in and save this young girl. And it really blew my mind and opened my eyes up, sort of scared the shit out of me a little bit. And I shared it with a mate in high school, and he spoke to his dad, who was a successful businessman, and he dragged us out of there, and I ended up living with them for about 5 years. But I guess in that next maybe 18 months, my mum and dad were going through their own sort of trials and tribulations, and then unfortunately my dad took his own life, and I basically, for me, he was a boxer, and it always wanted me to fight and compete, and I'm basically one of 4 boys. So yeah, poor mother. Everyone says, "Oh, poor mum," but look, she's just been a rock for all of us. Amazing woman, but yeah, I sat down with her and said, you know what? She didn't ever want me to fight, so I sat down with mum and said, you know what? This is what Dad wanted me to do, and so within, I think it was about 10 months, I'd won the state title and was ranked second in Australia. Went to the Aussie titles with Danny Green. Actually, he's a lot of people around the world know him, but yeah, amazing talent. So for me, I was lucky because that gave me an outlet, and I realised in those dark times, and it was a shitty time in life, that I had to focus on something positive. And for me, that was boxing. It was an outlet. You go and punch something, and not going down the, it's interesting. I say not going down the other path, but a couple of my other brothers went down that path. One's locked up now, and they went through the whole drug and alcohol side of things. And for me, I didn't want to get involved in that sort of lifestyle. But I realised that, and I've always been a big believer, it's not what happens to you in life, it's how you deal with it. So for me, I focused on that, and it gave me an outlet. And then I got involved in the film industry. You guys feel free to interrupt whenever you like.
No, it's good, mate. Keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, I got involved. I love doing the acting and stage productions. I did my first when I was about 12 years old. Now I've done, over 100 films, done about 25 feature films and 40-something TV adverts, and just really, I guess, blessed. And I sort of realize it's the journey of life. You get this realization when you start to get a bit older. Hey, Ando,
Mm-hmm.
you start to realize that it's the journey of your life. It's not the destination. Sometimes we get fixed on this destination of this is what we've got to achieve, and it's ego driven, and we've got to have the cars and the wealth and the money, but there's a lot of richness in just being happy and being content with your own life. So I got stuck into doing feature films and ads, and when I was about 19, I got offered a position to work out at the Maylands and Joondalup Police Academy in their scenario training unit, where we do gang warfare, domestic violence, suicides, armed robberies, and it's a safe environment for the recruits to learn how to deal with complainants or druggies or armed robberies and go through that process. So that's really how I sort of got involved in the film industry. Got an agent and did about 30-something short films, and that became a bit of a driving passion for me, and it still is today. Being blessed to work with a lot of great people. I did a film with Catherine Langford about a year ago, got released over in the States. She did 13 Reasons Why and the Cursed Netflix series on at the moment.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's I had the lead role opposite her in a film, and anyway, a bunch of others. But yeah, it's been quite the ride, and now over here in Sydney, and yeah, it's I don't know. I'm enjoying where we are, and I never thought I'd be doing the suicide prevention stuff. But sometimes in life, things come up, and it pushes you in a different direction. And I think we've all got a story. Why am I sharing all this? I guess I realise that we've all it's our story. And when you embrace the tough times and the hard times and the trials and tribulations in life, that's where the growth is. And a lot of us, we tend to, and I've done the same. We become a victim of life, and we're living at the effects of life, or that victim mentality. When you got crappy, shitty things going on in your life, you're at the effects of it, and you're just trying to put out the fires, and you're not really living in your true, authentic self.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I mean, you just jumping in there, and this is public knowledge, or it's worldwide knowledge. You're dealing with a massive issue, court case with the government and the police in Western Australia through a wrongful. If I'm correct, you didn't get convicted, but they were attempting to, bring you in onto a murder case, which people can look at that on YouTube from the what was it? Today Tonight, or
a Current Affair.
Current Affair.
yeah, Today Tonight. I did a story on it with Today Tonight, but a current affair. We did a story, and for the first time, really in about 5 years, shared a bit of a full length on,
Mm.
I guess the trials and tribulations, I guess, of what I've gone through with the property, and it's cost me millions. Ran a business, roofing business, and
What
uh,
exactly happened that turned your world upside down?
yeah. Look, I think there's been a few moments in my life where, and I think we all go through it. There's 3 or 4 moments in your life where it's a real crossroads. You're at a real fork in the road. For me, it was my dad passing was one. Going through this whole murder investigation was two. But to sort of shed the viewers a bit of light on that, I got into with my business and everything. I'd got into property development and all that sort of stuff. So I'd had a bunch of properties at that point. Worked my tail off for many years. Was always working a couple of jobs, and basically I'd had a property in the city in East Perth in Western Australia, and I'd leased the property to someone, and then it got subleased to someone else, and then I couldn't get the guy out of the place. The previous tenant said, "Look, I'm sorry, I've got a housemaid in, and basically we've had a fallout, and you're going to have to deal direct with this housemaid." So he'd assured me the guy was a multimillionaire. I wasn't going to have any issues and all this sort of stuff. And at that point, he was ahead on rent. So I'd had a meeting with him, and he'd agreed on continuing the lease on the property. And unfortunately, after a number of weeks, he said, "Look, I'm sorry, I can't pay the rent. I've had a fallout with his missus, and his missus had frozen all the bank accounts." So long story short, this went on for months, and I couldn't get him out. And then I found out he was a gangster and a standover guy and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't know this while I confronted him, and it went down like a lead balloon. And a couple of days afterwards, he'd rang me up and threatened to shoot me and rape me and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'd found out that this is who this character was. So again, time went by. It was a real whirlwind of a time. I just couldn't get him out of the place, and he'd owed me thousands of dollars rent. And then he'd rang me out of the blue and said, "Look, I'm gonna move out." And so we'd all locked in a date for him to move out. I went there to collect the keys on that time and day, and some other bloke spoke to me through the door, and he said, "Look," I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm one of this guy, Stephen Cookson, his mate. And I'm just here to fix up the place and get it ready for you." And I said, "Well, you need to come out." And he was just talking through the door. And we ended up having a bit of an argument through the door. And he said, "Look, just come back in 2 hours. I'm not ready. Don't make it a bigger deal than what it needs to be," and all this sort of stuff. And I had a real estate mate of mine there with me. And he said, "Look, just come back. We'll come back in 2 hours." So we came back, and there was 3 blokes moving out bags, and the keys were in the actual door. So, and the door was ajar. So when we walked up, I've grabbed the keys out and put them in my pocket, and then they moved out the bags, um, and I said, "Are you going to come back and vacuum and get it presentable, because it looked like it was sort of ransacked a bit?" And he said, "Nah." He goes, "You're dreaming," laughed, and then went down the elevator. And um, I basically went in and renovated the property, ripped up all the carpet and everything, blinds, painted everything, spent my savings on doing that. And a week and a half later, there was a head that was found of a person on Rottnest Island in Perth by, I think she was 11 years old. This 11-year-old girl was walking along the beach and kicked a bag that turned out had a head in it. And a week after that, I got a knock on the door by 9 cops, and they were the forensic team, and they basically went through, confiscated the place. I got interviewed, and look, when the whole suspect thing, like police they've got a process of elimination. I understand the process because I spent 5 years out at the police academy doing video interviews and doing all that sort of stuff. So, and I'm not an idiot. Like, I know how it looked. He owed me thousands of dollars. He'd threatened my life. I couldn't get him out of my place. And then I cleaned up the murder site without knowing. You know, I was quietly shitting myself, and I genuinely thought that I was being set up for it. So it sort of really messed with my head. And I got, you know, grilled and interviewed and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, it was only a few weeks there, and they'd found the murderer, and then I was the main witness in the murder investigation and in court and all that sort of stuff. But the flip side of it all, and the part that's really, I guess, has been a real challenge for me over the past 7 years is I went into financial difficulty. The police had gone through and covered the place in black ink, and it turned out they were all carcinogenic products. And so I was sick and coughing up blood, and my housemate was coughing up blood. You know, it's been an absolute nightmare. My company got shut down. I'd run it for many, many years successfully. Had a bunch of staff and everything else, and it got shut down. So I lost my business. I lost three properties. Now a lot of my self-worth, I think, went into that. I think I was say my ego, but men, I think, attach. And I only really realized this by going through the tribulations of this. We attach a lot of ego, and we attach a lot of self-worth to the assets, being the provider and being, you know, that masculinity aspect of our life, to look after and nurture our family or loved ones or girlfriends or wife or all that sort of stuff. And my plan was to retire at 32 and cash in from the investments and everything, and chase the dream in Hollywood and keep plugging away for the acting side of things. And that'll come to a screaming halt when I guess this stuff happened, and I really became at the effects of life, and again putting out fires and trying to save my business and save my reputation.
And that's sort of still all ongoing now, isn't it? The court case and all that.
Yep, we got 3 weeks before court is again. You know, there's been a lot of, unfortunately, the reason I've gone to air with this is there's a lot of corruption and in politics, and I feel it's like the lawyer I'd been using. He's just dropped the case, and I found out that we've got a private investigator working on the case, and he'd found out that the lawyer, his partner, his wife, is high up in the police force. So, I mean, you can jump on and check out troycoward.com or my acting site, and even with the Beacon Fight for Life .org. You can check the story out there. We threw it up there. It's had over 3 million views, and about 500,000 views more than their standard story. So now that the lawyers dropped the case, the Current Affairs wanting to run another story on it, and, you know, I guess sort of expose the bullshit that we have to go through in life and these hurdles.
Yeah, and that's sort of like pretty much what this series is about. That, you know, I suggested to Doug we should do, to share his story and see who else we can bring on for people to share what they're going through. And no matter whether it's Doug dealing with autism, you know, like high functioning, depression, anxiety, hospital medication, or your story dealing with that, you know, like huge issues dealing with, like, one, you could have been accused of something you never did, or it's just someone who had a bad relationship and it took them down a deep path and, you know, dark path, and they got out of it and created a better future. So everybody's story is as important to themselves, you know.
100%.
And that's what makes this a powerful series. And your story is like, it's incredible. So the fact that you're here now, and you could have dropped the bundle many times over many years, but you're still here and you're still building your Beacon Fight for Life, your mental health suicide awareness. So you've got the proof in the pudding that, you know, if you you just don't give up. You've just got to keep
Yeah.
going, you know. Hey,
Keep
Doug, do you
down,
have any
keep swinging.
questions for Troy?
Yeah. When did you found the company, let me pull it up very quick, Beacon Fight for Life? When did you found that?
Yeah, so I've been working in the mental health space for about 6 years. I've been ambassador with Lifeline, Happiness Co, and worked with the guys from Hucker for Life and Cooperative for Life, and all this sort of stuff over the years. And it's truly seeing people that are going through dark times dig deep, learn about themselves, and pull themselves out of the shit, so to speak. It's really inspired me. So to answer the question, about a year and a half ago, I teamed up with Derek Best, who's in WA, and we'd basically partnered up and founded the Beacon Fight for Life. So we've got our charity status, we've got our DGR status, we're the highest, I believe that's the highest ranking on a status of a not-for-profit that you can get, which is awesome. We've got some amazing, we've got some amazing ambassadors like Andy coming on board. We've got a lot of celebrities from Married at First Sight, The Bachelor. We've got Brooke Blurton and McCain Reed. He's an awesome bloke, and a bunch more. You know, it's really, really exciting when you live for something bigger than yourself. It's like the law of attraction. You know, your thoughts become things, and it's really important and I encourage anyone out there that's listening to this, if you're going through shit times in your life, it's very easy to be positive when positive stuff's going on. It's very hard to be positive when negative stuff's going on. Your world's falling apart, you're going through a breakup, you're losing your money, whatever it is. It's just important to really sit there and visualize you in a different headspace, or try and be in a different headspace, because that's your energy and your vibration you're putting out there. And once you start focusing on what you really want to achieve and being there, actually being there, feeling that excitement, it's amazing. Life gets out of the way and it just brings that into you.
Yeah. Well, Doug had that same issue, like, you know, when he was dealing with school. In the first episode, he shared all that, what it was like for him to just not even fit into society. Has anything come up for you, Doug, that a question that you maybe didn't prepare, that it's on your mind, you want to ask Troy?
To be honest, I have more of something I want to say that supports what he says. A few years back, I went through a rough time, and I wrote a whole book about it, which was about my period of depression and how my high school education didn't end well. And one of the things that helped me turn my life around was I went back to church and went back to Christianity after not practicing for a number of years. And I had a spiritual rebirth. It was a sort of sob story that made me feel better. And ever since then, I've been extremely religious.
And Doug, your book you wrote, like, just share with Troy where that is at now.
Yeah, the book has been by far my biggest success story as an author. It's currently ranked in the top 5,301 on Amazon internationally for autism biographies, and it's one of the top 15 in the United Kingdom for autism biographies.
Wow. Congratulations, mate. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Andy and I are currently working on another book, which is a sci-fi book.
Well, actually, that's not what I was going to say, mate. You left out the most important part. What happened in the last day?
Let me remember.
Your book.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember. Yeah, sorry. I just, evenings with, evenings and all that, I kind of forget things. But yeah, Amazon got back to me saying that they're going to distribute my book at Barnes and Noble.
Woohoo!
Wow. That's pretty awesome, eh?
Yeah, and other libraries across the country.
How many? Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
There's some good things come from shit times, and it's just a matter of embracing those. It's funny, like you mentioned about Christianity and that. Like in my darkest times, I actually went back to church. I got brought up as a Christian and as a young tacker going to Sunday schools and all that sort of stuff, and drifted away from the faith. And I think faith is such a big thing. Not whether you call it Christianity or believing in a higher source, or it's just so important to mentally consistently try and think positively, going and praying or going to a church or whatever it is. It's whatever works for you. Just having that self-belief that everything is temporary. Everything is temporary.
Yeah.
And the sun will come out, and the dark clouds and the rain and everything will bugger off, and the sun will come out again. And it's just a matter of just believing in that, There's a
and
bigger
same with
purpose
what
in
we're
life.
going through at the moment with COVID, like it is stressful for everybody around the planet. Anxiety and worry, but it will pass.
Yeah.
But then it's hard for some people and some of us to go, yeah, I know it's going to pass, but when, like when.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Speaking of religious
So
stuff,
true. Coronavirus has been crazy.
speaking of religious stuff, have you ever seen The Prince of Egypt?
No.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, one of my biggest achievements recently was I interviewed the producer of it for YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, Doug's pretty cool. Like he's got a great YouTube channel. He interviews NASCAR drivers. He's interviewed some older veterans from the war and written books on them. Like he's just incredible, the stuff he's writing.
Wow.
You got your book there on Moses that you wrote?
Yeah, I do. It's right here, and I assumed you would say that, so I
did that in a month. He wrote 520 pages in a month.
Wow. Far out.
It's
dedication.
There's no question. I should tell you, since The Prince of Egypt is based on Moses, it did have an impact on how I wrote the story.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I guess we're getting close to wrapping up. But these little series are quite short, under half hour. Sometimes they might creep over. But I really feel that everybody's story that comes on is so different that it impacts me. I'm pretty sure it impacts Doug as well and inspires him. Is that right, Doug?
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's helping everybody. I'm sure there's people out there. I get a lot of replies in Doug's getting them in. People are going, wow, it's so cool. You've just made me have a look at where I'm at and what I'm dealing with and find people who can help you. Don't try and do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to have a gang or a tribe around you, as they say, not necessarily a street gang, but, a gang of good people.
Yeah. Don't patch up with anyone. Yeah. Well, it's like it's even Christianity, it is like a group or a gang, it's a group of people, like-minded people that are there to support each other.
Yeah.
And I encourage anyone to get a mentor in your life, someone that gives you the progress is in the process. So if you've got a bit of a plan to get to a goal, just even if it's just getting out of bed in the morning. People go through depression. I've been through a lot of shit myself, and there's been numerous times you've got to drag yourself out of bed. You become a professional sleeper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have to say, Troy, you've been a good mentor for me in my life.
Bless.
Well,
appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, Troy. And look, really appreciate you taking the time. And Doug, you taking the time as well, because you should have been in bed hours ago. I'm only joking.
Yeah. If I can joke about you, you can joke about me.
Well, cool, Dougie. You want to wrap us out? And thanks, Troy. Really appreciate it, mate.
Mate, just the last note, you're going to have to come over to WA soon, December, this Netflix thing.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Don't you worry.
We've got to get you involved, mate. It's going to be good.
Can't make promises on my part.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, 2021, check out Dr. Robert Ray on the road. So he's asked me to come on board with him. He's had top-rated shows on Netflix for 20-odd years. So we're partnering up and doing a production in Perth. So, yeah, you have to come on board.
See, and that's little things like that you've always got that next project or something that you've created by contacting someone. It's by being in action, doing things, taking
Yeah.
action. It just keeps you moving because you just never know who you're going to bump into, you know.
Can I just quickly share with this? It is so that it's being in action and being the yes man in life. I was in Beverly Hills. I got nominated for Best Actor for a film. I went over there and driving down Beverly Rodeo Drive, I think in Beverly Hills there.
Yeah, Rodeo, yeah.
Rodeo, sorry. Yeah, that's the one.
Well, as Aussies, mate, we say rodeo, but
yeah,
we say
yeah.
rodeo.
Yeah, but I've literally, we've pulled over, we had a Mustang, we take the roof off, and I've seen this guy walking down the street. I thought, I know that face. And so I said, mate, pull over. So I've jumped out. I said, oh, excuse me, how you going? And he's this bloke on the phone, and he goes, oh, man, I got to go. I got to talk to my Australian friend. And he hangs up, and it's Dr. Robert Ray, the celebrity plastic surgeon from Dr. 90210. And we had a great conversation. Said goodbye. Said what we're doing here. Blah blah blah. I've gone to get in the car. He comes back out of his practice and gives me a card. He goes, mate, here, keep my card. Let's stay in contact. This is 5 years ago. Then I went over there again for film stuff a couple of years ago. Went to his house, and we've just stayed in communication. And then about a year and a half ago, he was telling me about this concept of what he's doing with On the Road with Dr. Ray. And I said, mate, you should I pitched him this idea about coming over with the Aboriginals and the culture over here, and that's what he's doing in Paris and China and in India,
Wow.
and he's still funding this thing. It's amazing. And so then we've connected only a few days ago, and now he's coming over, and we're going to help co-produce.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool, and that's exactly what this is about. That little choice that you go, hang on, pull over, I want to talk to him. It's these little things, like just take that opportunity, because you had no idea what it was going to do. You just had that urge to do something. And like Doug with his books, like it was a teacher who said to him, look, oh, you tell the story, Doug, what she said to you.
Yeah. In my freshman year of high school, which was my first year, I had an instructor for English class named Mrs. Chandra Bird, and she suggested to me, she heard from my parents that I like to write, and she came up to me during a school period and asked, hey, Doug, I heard you like to write, and I have connections to Amazon's publishing process and create space. So how about I help you write and publish your first book, and I supervise it? And I was like, oh my gosh, now I have a chance to tell my story.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Amazing.
And
we've all got one.
It's that woman who just did that and said, hey, I can see something in you. And look at this. How old were you when that happened, Doug?
I would have been 14 at the time.
And you're 22 now?
22, yeah.
There you go. And
that's amazing, mate. And you know what's uncanny? Look, it's having people see little sparkles of light or something in certain people is amazing, and I think it's a great thing, a great blessing if that comes to you. But having self-belief in yourself as well, because mate, I was 12 and I did drama in school, and the drama teacher hit me up to do a production, and I was in year 8. They wanted me to do the year 12 production and host the event, and I was like 25-page script. Had no idea. First year in doing acting in drama in school. And I said, oh, it's a year 12. And she's like, yeah. I was like, it's a week and a half stage production. I went, oh, okay. Yeah. All right. and that's what really got me involved in this. So you never know. It's just saying yes to opportunity and then figure it out on the way. If you're in a job you don't like, throw the towel in and find something to live in your own passion.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And that's exactly what it's all about, and it's everyone's different journey, and that's what this 10-part series is about, which, we'll be doing other stuff as well. We're going to be talking about COVID and bringing on a psychologist, and you'll probably be involved in that with Matt Reynolds, talking about how people are dealing with COVID. So there's more to come yet, mate.
Mate, coronavirus times, like I'll just share, start of the year, I lost my stepfather, the guy that dragged me out of foster care. He had a brain tumor. I sat for a month with him. I got back from a premiere in China, at the lead role in Hidden Light film over there, and came back and got the news. And for a month, I sat there day and night with my stepfather. And then he passed away a month later. And then
Wow.
I'm in Sydney, Australia now, because 4 months ago, my older brother passed away, and it's been the toughest time in my life by far. And then my Auntie Jan only 3 weeks ago. So, you know, and I'm not saying this is a sob story, but you got to embrace those shit times in life, because that's where the reflection and the growth happens. And it's really, I look at it like you're a tree, like a plant, and you need shit thrown on you in life, and that's the fertilizer. You need to absorb that, chin down, keep swinging, and then really just keep plugging away through life. That's where the growth is. Embrace the tough times. You have to.
Wow. You've been through a lot, man. It's like yeah, I know Doug's going to ask on me. I can see it.
Yeah, all I got to say is this. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Because I hope that you get compensation for what you went through.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Good on you, Dougie. Well, thanks, Troy. That was really cool, man. Like, thanks for being so open and transparent and sharing all that, because it's a hard thing it's hard. We can listen to it and go, oh, but you're telling it. So it's a tough one, and you can still smile and have a laugh. So that's what all this series is about, you know. Hearing people who can just get up and go, well, that wasn't a good day, but you know, it's more to come.
Well, mate, to be honest, like I think I've been a shit communicator over the past, 20 years. You just ask my ex-girlfriend, she'll tell you that. But it comes a time.
She's the next guest on the show, mate. Oh, sorry.
That'll be right, you bastard. But I think there's power in being vulnerable, and it's only been the past couple of years that I've realised that. And everyone's gone through their own trials and tribulations, and when you're looking for something bigger than yourself, and saying that I'm inspiring or anything like that, but I've been inspired by many beautiful, amazing people in my life, and you included, Ando.
We all do it to each other. Like Doug, I'm actually getting Doug to help me with things now. So that's the whole purpose of this, is that every time we bring someone on, we all get a spark of like, oh yeah, wow, you know. Well, look, Troy, we better chew out, mate, and Doug will fall asleep in a minute. He's no, I'm kidding. He goes at me all day, mate. I've got to have this opportunity now to get one back in.
Quick kidney punch.
I'm probably a bit worried when he meets me, because he's lost weight and he's in the gym. By the time he meets me, he'll probably be buffed up, and he's going to get me in a headlock and do all that. And
that's it. Steroids and Cocoa Pops, eh?
All right, Dougie, over to you, mate, to take us out, mate. Thanks, Troy.
No, thanks for having me, guys. Much appreciated. Anytime.
No problem. We really appreciate you coming on board, Troy, and God bless you, and may you have a tremendous future. And we'll see you next time, fans, on Being Relentless and Unstoppable.